I'm tired of having to work harder to bypass mediocre men.
They went with a guy who had less experience than me.
Women make up 50% of the population. Why is it that we're only about 5% of the below the line workers?
They said our names wouldn't make the slate, so we're calling our own shots. Slated, women filmmakers, real opportunities, real sisterhood.
Today on Slated, I am excited to welcome Monique Impagliazzo, a director, writer, and producer with over 15 years of experience across film, television, documentaries, and music videos. Her award-winning comedy, Turkey's Done, starring Cheri Oteri, earned Best Director, Best Actress, and Best Comedy at festivals including Just for Laughs, Vancouver, the Women's Film Festival in Philadelphia, and the Burbank International Film Festival. Monique has also collaborated with Barbra Streisand on major projects at Barwood Films, contributing to the Guilt Trip, the Back to Brooklyn concert series, and the Grammy-nominated albums What Matters Most and Partners. Most recently, she directed 2 music videos, Which Way to Go and The Look of Love, The Island, and is developing multiple projects, including her feature Back to December, which was awarded a $100,000 Big Sky grant. She's also preparing to direct Pinkie Swear, a bold short about confronting your younger self and reclaiming courage. Monique, we are so happy to have you here. Welcome to Slated, Women Filmmakers.
Thank you so much for having me here, Allie, and thank you so much for doing this too. It's amazing.
I am so thrilled to have you join us. I really am. So let's just dive in. Did I cover everything or was something missing?
Everything is there.
You want to add anything that isn't maybe it's a little more recent, something you're excited about right now or anything?
There's one other project in there that I am really excited about. It's a pilot that I wrote actually with producer Wendy Cox, and it's called Agency, about an upcoming female sports agent whose father is the biggest bookie in Philadelphia. So he is trying to pull her back into the family business, and she's trying to create legacy. And every episode is going to cover a controversy or an issue going on in sports today. So that's another project I'm working on as well.
We talked about that project briefly the other day, and I love that concept so much. I think you're going to do great with that. So tell me what first drew you into filmmaking and to directing in general?
Yeah, like a lot of others, I always loved watching movies growing up, and there was just nothing else that interested me when it was time to go to college. And I just dropped the ball and told my parents, I'm going to major in film. How do you feel about that? And they were like, fine by us. You're not going to blame us for going down the wrong path. So it was something that I always wanted to do. I loved. So I went to Temple University and got my film degree. There were, I think, 3 other women in my class that year. So there was only a few of us. And it was something that I knew was going to be hard. I knew it wasn't going to be easy. But I just always loved it. And I just kept on going back. Even though I was doing other things after I graduated, I just kept on going back to filmmaking, producing, wanting to write, and eventually wanting to direct.
Where is Temple University?
Temple University is in Philadelphia. That's where I was born and raised. Yeah. That's where I planned to shoot Agency. And that's where I actually shot my first short film, Turkey's Done.
Oh, love that. Love that. Love those hometown movies too, don't you? Like only we can love the city or the town that we grew up in the way that we do, right? And represent it the way that we do. I love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's why I'm really excited about making Agency, because for Wendy and myself, it is a love letter to our city. So that's another reason why I'm excited about that project.
Is Wendy your business partner?
Yeah, she is a producer, worked in LA for over 20 years, but has now gone back to Philadelphia and has worked on many projects there, lives there now. And she wants to make projects there, and so do I. So it's perfect. We both grew up there. We love where we're from, and we want to show the world the pride.
Cinematic. It's a beautiful city, right? It's kind of unexplored too, a little bit, right?
It really is.
Of course, it's in movies. You see it in movies, but not like the way that probably a local sees it, and doesn't know the cinematic spots like between this building and that building. So that's really exciting. What's it like out there? I know in the Boston area, business is really booming. What's it like in Philadelphia? And do you know of tax incentives or anything like that there?
Yeah, they do have a tax incentive. I believe the cap is 100 million. They just passed it again. Their tax incentive, I want to say, is 20 or 25%. And they just shot Task just premiered with Ruffalo. So they shot Dope Thief there. I know that was Apple. And of course, M. Night Shyamalan. He loves shooting there as well because he's from there. So yeah, it's booming. It's exciting. And we're excited about it for sure.
I assume your budget isn't 100 million though, right?
Yeah.
So it's such an exciting prospect of shooting in your hometown. I love the pilot you're working on. I really can't wait to see that and read that script when you have it ready. What would you say your first real yes in the business was, or your first big turning point? What was the moment or decision or person that helped you reach your first win?
It has to all go back to Philly. When I came into college, I was working for a talent agency because I wanted to learn the business of acting. And it was like the one kind of connection that I had. So I started working for the Marianne Claro talent agency while I was still at Temple University. And then from there, she introduced me to Diane Kerman, who is a producer, who is married to Stuart Raffle. I was working on a film called Standing Ovation in Southern New Jersey. And then from there, they had come back to LA to do post. And when they came back, they asked if I can come out here. And I was kind of going back and forth a lot. And when that film had wrapped, James Brolin was the executive producer of that film. And he came one day and he said, you know, my wife is looking for an assistant. And I had never been I was assistant on a film, but I had never been an executive assistant before. And he said, if you're looking for work, I can set up a meeting for you to meet her. How do you turn down meeting Barbra Streisand for an interview?
Pretty big turning point, but also it was a series of turning points from that project, right?
Exactly. And that's where I think we as women, you just never know who you're going to meet, who knows who. So I'm always about, you know, take the opportunity, take the meeting. Obviously, you're not going to turn down a meeting with Barbra Streisand. And I was very lucky. I actually got the job and started to work the next day. So baptism by fire. I had, like I said, never been an executive assistant before, but I was very ambitious and learned what I needed to learn. I had a lot of great people around me helping me. And it was definitely a huge yes that I got. But it was from those women, you know, Marianne Claro, Diane Kerman, who were always there to kind of pick me up and just tell me that, you know, I could do something like that.
Beautiful.
You know?
That is really beautiful. I was going to say, you have to just say yes to things, even though you might not know how to do it.
The unknown is scary, Allie.
Yeah. The unknown is so scary, but you have to say yes to things, whether you know how to do them or not, because you have to learn as you go in this business, right? You have to take the chance. I know from your work and I know from our conversations that you have taken big, scary, creative risks. But can you tell us about some of those risks that you've taken as an artist and a professional?
Yes. When I came up with the script, Turkey's Done, it was a short with two other women from Philly, Crystal and Gentini. And then we decided, let's make this. You know, we very randomly met Cheri Oteri.
Amazing.
And she heard our accent, actually. She's from Philly, born and raised.
There you go. Yeah.
I know. And I just researched how to do crowdfunding. Never had done a crowdfunding. I talked to a few people who had done one. I wanted to know, why was it successful? Why wasn't certain crowdfunding campaigns successful? I wanted to learn it all. So I researched and then came up with a calendar for the whole month of what we were going to do to create publicity around this campaign. And it kind of took on a life of its own, where it's like Philly girls coming back to the city from LA to shoot here, to show the neighborhood. And it literally snowballed. We had so many people coming out and sharing it on social media, contributing, people sending it to other people. We had restaurants who wanted to donate, catering, production companies, all different types of things. So those types of things are really helpful because it keeps your budget down.
Yeah.
And creating this campaign, we had no idea where this was going to go. And when you hit send, how am I going to raise like $30,000 in 30 days? But I think if you have a plan and you have a great group around you, know some of your crew members, I know you can do it because I did it. And it was a risk. I never had done a crowdfunding before. I never wrote before, produced, directed. And it's a scary thing, but we have to take these risks. And sometimes you have to fail. And sometimes you get lucky and you don't. But you are, of course, going to make some mistakes. So you have to be okay with that. But you're learning from these mistakes because you make it on these smaller projects.
Yep.
So when you get bigger ones, you know really what you want and what you don't want. So I suggest everybody to maybe one time in their career, of course, get out there. If you want to write, produce, and direct, get out there and do it.
Get out there and do it. Can you remember what one of the mistakes that wound up teaching you a lot on that first show was?
It's a good one. I think that I don't want to say that it was a mistake. I wish we had more time to prep. It all happened so quickly and it all came together. And of course, schedules, having someone like Cheri, and she had a very busy schedule. But I would always suggest prep it as much as you can. And when you're on the ground, you're ready to go.
Have you found
Yeah.
now in your career that you have more time for prep? Has that opened up for you now that you're much more?
I think we always wish for more and more and
Yeah,
more time
of
to
course.
prep.
Yeah, we always want what we don't have.
But I think that when you do it, you know what you could be doing even before you prep. You can, get into your script, really look at those beats as a director, really think about what DP is going to work best with the project. So you understand certain things about once you do it. And again, every project, you're going to learn more and more and more.
Yeah. Tell me, this is a very emotional question, and I don't know if you can even remember what it felt like, but I love the idea of like these girls going back to Philly and walking in with their leather jackets and their badass, we're filmmakers from LA now. What did it feel like going home as a filmmaker, and emotionally, how did that feel for you?
Well, even during the crowdfunding, we had to go back because everyone wanted to have us on podcasts and radio stations. It really started to snowball, Allie. We were in shock. We couldn't believe it. And you know what? It happened for a reason because we needed to be in our neighborhood at that time. You just felt the excitement of it. And then it was just magnetizing the people, the alignment of it all. And so we flew back very last minute during the campaign and we couldn't even believe it. We were going out to dinners and lunches and meeting with people because then everybody wanted to know more about the project. So it was really important that we were there even during the crowdfunding. And when we went back to shoot, I mean, there were just people coming out of the woodwork to help us. When we were shooting our exteriors on the street, a little side street in South Philly, we had all the neighbors out helping us, cleaning the street, getting ready, who wanted to donate what. So it was just, I'm still in shock by how much happened during that.
Wouldn't you have loved to have a little mini documentary?
I really wish that we did. That's a good note for next time.
That's one of the things that I've learned is like you should always have someone videotaping you while you're working, and BTS, I never get that and I always regret it.
The working director, she tells us, get
Oh, yeah.
get that bitch.
Yeah. You mentioned a few of the women that have helped you get into the room, and I just wonder, how did you meet them originally?
Marianne Claro was the first woman that I met in this business, and I randomly called up her office because at the time I was taking acting classes, and I just went into her office to meet with her, and I noticed how busy she was. I was 20 years old, and I said to her, for some reason, I just had this idea while I was sitting in front of her. I said, if I come to help you, will you teach me this business? Because I not only want to learn how to act, I want to learn the business of the business. She had never had an intern before. And for some reason, again, she looked at me and she said, yeah, I would really like that. So again, I was just taking a shot. I was very young, so very little fear at the time too, because you're not even thinking about it, right? You create these relationships. Relationships in this business are so important, even from as young as 20 years old. It goes all the way back there. And you see that when you build these relationships, people just want to help you, but you're also helping them because you're doing a good job, right? I was working in her business. I'm representing her in her business. So then from there, introduced me to Diane, who then introduced me to James Brolin.
Those are three big, very important early intros, right?
It was very early. I met Marianne at the beginning of my 20s. And then by the time I was at the end of my 20s, I was Barbra Streisand's executive assistant. Again, these relationships, and I can't stress it enough, are very, very important in our business. And I know we talk about networking, and I think networking is a very masculine word. It's more of connection and alignment. And help. You also want to bring something yourself to these relationships because if you're helping someone, they want to help you.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, let me get this question out of the way because it keeps coming up. Are you also an actor? Do you also act, or did you just take the classes to learn the skill set?
Such a great question. I started out wanting to become an actress. I took a lot of acting classes in my very early 20s. And when I moved to New York, I studied acting at the Dina Levy Theater Studio. But I realized early in my career, as much as I loved it, as much as I loved learning, I was better as myself. And during an acting class there, I had helped with a weekend workshop at the Dina Levy Theater Studio, and I got to direct. This is just coming back to me. This is how directing started, actually, for me, the love of it. I got to direct a scene. I had never done that before. It was a guy and a girl. At the end of the scene, they kissed, but it wasn't written in the scene because they were so connected. And Dina was looking at me to cut, and I said, "Hold on," whispering. And all of a sudden, they came together and kissed, and I couldn't believe it. And everybody was like, and then she looked at me like, nice.
I got tears in my eyes thinking about it because
It's
that
like,
time you direct is just like so magical.
I couldn't believe it. And from that is the moment, Allie, and you just made me remember,
Yeah.
that is the moment where I wanted to become a director.
And then you're hooked. Like I'm done. Like my life goes here now. Like that's all I can do. I know that feeling.
Right from the acting classes. And even when I direct now, I'm not a full-time actor and I don't go out on auditions and I don't audition at all. But I will go back into studying in a class when I'm getting ready to direct a project for sure.
I think it's so important to study because honestly, I have so much respect for actors and primarily because I took acting classes and I know how hard it is. I know how much work they put in. I know they're just the dedication of actors is just it blows my mind. Most of the ones that I've worked with, they're so generous and they're willing to give to get there to get where you think it's right, and it's just amazing. Absolute respect for them.
So do I, 150,000%. I love them so much. I love what they do. I have such respect for it. But I think it's important for directors to also go into acting classes and maybe take some yourself if you haven't yet and you know that this is what you really want to do. It's important for us to watch a scene being directed by the coach, listening to the notes, and you learn how to talk to the actors and how they like to be talked to. And having those conversations even before you shoot is very important just to make sure that everybody on set is comfortable, because that is really important to me. You're going to get the best performances that way.
Absolutely. What do you do to prepare your actors when you're in prep? Do you do detailed character bios, or do you do a lot of rehearsals? What's your strategy?
I like to talk it through as much as possible. We'll even go as far as sometimes telling them what type of shots I'm looking for. Like, let's talk about the story. Let's talk about where we are before. Let's talk about where we are going into it. Anything that they want to bring to it. I'm a director who's open to suggestions because I'm not the end all be all. This is a collaborative art form. So let's talk about it together now in prep, because when we get on set, it's just going to be pure magic. So I do like to talk the scenes through. And I think that the more you do, the more comfortable they feel. And you want to also make it a place where they feel like they can ask questions too, because sometimes we as directors, we are being asked a million questions. It's the biggest multitask when you're on set. Art, your AD, everybody, you're obviously one-on-one with the DP the whole time. And sometimes actors might feel like they can't get a question in. So you want to make sure, listen, if you have a question, pull me aside. Let's talk about this so you feel like you're getting your best performance.
Yeah, absolutely. So circling back now to what you were saying earlier about how important it is to network, let's talk directly to women who are just starting out or live outside of LA or New York. Do you have any suggestions on how to actually get yourself on the radar of someone who can help you get a job, how to begin to form relationships, real relationships with people who can help you along the way?
Absolutely. Obviously, we have social media now, so you can follow Black Magic Collective, and they offer a lot of free classes. So you can Zoom, or if you can't make it, watch the Zoom. But if you are in your community, I suggest maybe your local theater, even acting classes. anything to do with film. I know a lot of cities also have women in film in that specific city, your film office, any way that you can get involved, writing classes. As a woman who was growing up in South Philadelphia, there wasn't many of us who wanted to be filmmakers or even actresses. So that's why I interned even before the Marianne Claro Talent Agency at a casting company. However, you can get involved, you're going to start having these conversations and you're going to start meeting people. There's even foundations that you can get involved in, maybe locally. Here in LA, I am very much connected to the She Angels Foundation. It's promoting women, not so much women film. They do promote women filmmakers, but you make those connections because there's other women who are in the business who are a part of the foundation. So these types of communities for me are very, very important. My relationships with them, I knew that after the pandemic, I knew that there were other like-minded women out there and I needed to find them. And I got very lucky with finding Jen Page, the working director, which Allie, that's how you and I met. And like I mentioned, Black Magic Collective, and just connecting in your area. And I know Black Magic Collective is starting to form other circles. So that's my advice. Community, and women love community, and we need
Women do.
community,
Women.
right?
And what's a film crew and set? It's community, right? That's why one of the reasons why I feel like women make such great directors. I do think that we make the best directors, but the reason is because we do love community. We love that. And we don't generally see it as something we're doing on our own. We see it as most women are collaborative, whereas men, not so much. I mean, we're still the captain of the ship, but we do have a more collaborative nature, I think.
I was just gonna jump in. Yeah, and we're nurturers, right? So we nurture everybody on set, make sure everybody feels happy with whatever their task is, and so that everyone gels together.
Mhm. Yeah.
I've been thinking about this too a lot, Allie and Pamela, that I think the reason why our business is where it is right now is because we need to start thinking about doing things differently. There's a lot of uncertainty in our business right now about what projects are being greenlit and things like that. And women are more and more making their own projects, right? But a lot of these systems that are set up strictly by men. And I think that it's time for us to start thinking about how we can do this differently. And I don't mean just making films. I mean how we're raising the funds, how we are in production, and how we're going to market our films and thinking even past the film festivals. And like community, with my new short, Pinkie Swear, I am going to do an evening or an afternoon where I bring all these women from our business, even outside the business, who I've created relationships with, bring them in the same room and talk about my projects and see if there's women who either want to get involved, want to invest. And it's not just about my projects and my film company, it's also about other women's businesses who are there that day or other women film companies and how we're all kind of coming together to make a project and maybe other projects will be born there that day. I want this whole project to have a whole different type of feel to it. And same thing when we're on set with production. We need to make sure we're following our schedule timelines. We're not overtime working people, burnout. It's too much. And it's not the way that women do things. Like you said, Pamela, we're nurturers. And even past film festivals, I'd love this to premiere at like a Bentonville or the Women's Film Festival of Philadelphia because it is a very female forward film. And then past that, let's create experience and community where people are coming to watch the film and it's a whole experience. It's a whole day. It's female empowerment. It's taking pictures with your little girl. Let's have intimate dinners where we talk about our films and talk about how we can help each other. So it's something that has just been kind of festering in me and having conversations with other women, even who aren't in our business. Dr. Teresa Ashby, who I'm very good friends with, she is a doctor of organizational psychology. And she often says, how are you going to do this differently, Monique? And I have a great business coach who pushes me to the end. Her name is Liz Swadek. So I have all these communities, the She Angels Foundation, Warrior Women community, and the Business Oracle community, which is Dr. Teresa Ashby's community. So it's how do we create these spaces for women to talk about our projects, but of course to talk about theirs? And how can we pair with these amazing female entrepreneurs and brand them as well?
I love the way you're throwing out other women's names too. Just in this conversation, you're already uplifting other women,
Yes.
right? That's really cool. And I love that you're working with women to find a way to move yourself forward. You did touch on something that kind of made me go, how's she doing that? How are you green lighting yourself? So let's talk about what green lighting is and how are you green lighting yourself?
There's all different ways that you can do it. And obviously crowdfunding for a short, if that's the kind of project that you want to do. I don't want to keep it just to shorts because I know we have web series and there's all different types of projects. I think that that's a great way to do it. Also getting a fiscal sponsorship. I use From the Heart Productions because it is very female forward. So if a foundation wanted to give you money for your project and they wanted to get behind you, you're able to accept that money from a 501c3 through a fiscal sponsorship. And again, I mentioned Carol Dean and From the Heart. They're great. They've been around for forever. And there's other fiscal sponsorships out there as well. So you can research that. That's just the one that I like to go to. And I have a lot of friends who also are going through From the Heart. But I think it's also going out there and getting past your fears and finding those people who want to get behind your projects, not just in the business, but like I said, if you were to pair with maybe a female entrepreneur that her brand could be a part of your project, they might want to give you money to fund your film. These are some of the things that we need to start thinking outside the box. I mean, branding has been done for years. This is not
Or
anything.
even if not fund the film, fund part of it, fund feeding the crew. Like that's a big deal. Or putting their product. The movie that I'm writing, I specifically wrote in, we have a view of the man's shoes so that I can maybe get some shoes. Like you do specific things like that, right?
Absolutely. It's just thinking about how to keep the budget down.
Mhm.
So you obviously don't have to raise as much money, things like that. Like you said, doing a shoe brand partnership or put a character in a t-shirt of that person's company's logo. It'll keep the budget down. There's different ways to do it if you're not ready to go full in crowdfunding, but you have to do the research and you have to have those relationships and then you also have to feel very comfortable with reaching out.
Yeah. So what's your trick for when you are really scared? And let's say you have to, do you pitch still?
I am pitching. Yes, I will be pitching in January.
Do you get nervous when you pitch?
Absolutely. Of course.
So how do you get over your nerves when you pitch? How do you handle your nerves when you have to go pitch?
It's such a great question. I think that I am a big person now with meditation. So I do go to meditation for help, breathing exercises too, but also surrounding yourself by people who are going to lift you up and be there for you. I'm very nervous, obviously, before I pitch, but as soon as I start, it's like, okay, I'm ready. Like, let me out, let me go, let me in. It's like a train that don't get in front of me. But it's important to know some things and some techniques that you can use to get you back on track.
For you, techniques is meditation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We psych ourselves out every single time I am going to have something to shoot. I'm dreading it. I'm dreading it. I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this. I don't want to make this movie. I don't want to do this. Why am I doing this? Every single time. And the moment I set on set, it's gone. I'm like, can I just quit? Can I just back out somehow? Every time. It's so weird, but it's a psych out, you know?
Really, something that you said is that we as women don't talk about that enough, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
We need to talk to each other about it more because we need to be there for each other more and more. And it's funny because I went back this summer to work for Barbra Streisand, and in her book, she has that when she was going to direct Yentl for the first time, on the way there, she was so sick and very nervous. And that's what happens to me too. On your way there, you're like,
On my way
okay,
there. Yeah.
what am I doing?
Who am I to do this?
Who am I? All
Yeah.
the things I've been floating in, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then she said the same thing. As
Yeah.
soon as you get set and everybody's asking you questions, you totally forget. And you're doing because you prepped it, you know?
And prepped it and prepped it and prepped it. And that is the thing about one of the reasons why it's so important to prep and prep and prep and to immerse yourself in the project before you start, so that when you get there, it's all just already in you. It's already there. You don't have to worry about going back to this and that and the other thing, these notes and that binder. It's already in there.
It's all done.
You've looked at the images, the tone, the lookbook better than anybody, and it's all ingrained in your brain.
It's all going to be there for
Yeah.
you. And listen, like any project, things are going to change, and that's okay. So you have to be able to pivot as well. And when you're calm and you're able to breathe through it or go over and ask a question, if something instinctually doesn't feel right, I wish somebody would have said, speak up, say it now, because then you're not having to fix something in post. Because then you're going to say to yourself, why didn't I stop? I knew to take that extra second just to stop and say, I need that take again because of whatever the situation may be, or ask the question or move the light. Just take the time and follow your gut, follow your instincts. And we as women have amazing
We
instincts.
as women are all working on that. Although we are so instinctual, we still have to work on trusting them. And I intuitively know that we should trust our instincts, because I think for the most part, women's instincts are pretty right on. I think it might be society that has taught us not to trust our instincts so much.
The reason why I love meditation so much is because I can go there in my head and play it out the way that I want it to play out, right? It's not going to be exactly the same. But the more we feel like we've been there, less of the fear creeps in. So that's why I find, and I'm learning, trust me, through, some of the work that I'm doing on myself, that that's important. It's important for us as women to do those types of things. And I know we think, when do we have that kind of time? Because listen, we don't have that kind of time.
Yeah.
But we need to take that time for ourselves.
Visualization too, right? That's what creative visualization is all about. It's visualizing the end result, the one that you want, way ahead of time, and keeping that vision tight in your mind so that you can work towards making it a reality.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I learned a big lesson on my last film, and it was negative. It's a negative thing, but it's a good lesson to learn. So, what's a negative thing that you can pass on that people should watch out for? For me, it was making sure that as a director, I have in the contract, I have say on the final cut, or at least some participation in the edit. What would you say you have learned the hard way that you want to make sure that other women know about ahead of time, other women directors?
Very similar. Have a contract, even if, you feel like you've known these people for forever. Just have it all down. You just never know. Have it all written out at the very, very, very beginning so everybody's on the same page.
And start with what was going to make you feel good at the end, right? Like start with, these are the terms that if these happen, I'm going to feel great about this, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you were to give advice to a woman who feels like she's almost there, but hasn't quite broken through, getting paid on a regular basis, getting calls instead of doing all the calling, what would be that little bit of advice that you could give?
If you really want to do this, you're not going to give up. There's going to be times where you want to, but continue to take baby steps, because the big picture could be scary. It's scary because it's the unknown, right? How am I going to get there? And I was actually talking to my producer from Back to December about that the other day. She looked at me and she says, this is where and when people give up, but we're not giving up. And she said that to me, and it just gives you so much inspiration. So there are going to be many times, but again, if this is what you really want to do, you're going to do it. You're going to figure it out. You're going to find that person. You're going to find that project. The idea is going to come in. So we have to let the ideas come in, though, too. I think I can't speak for all women. Sometimes I try to control it. I try to control the end game. Some things are not for me to figure out, but we keep on attracting the right people in, the right circumstances, the right opportunities, and just let it go. I say that because I need to listen to myself.
Yeah. Well, you brought it up. Like, have you ever had a dark night of the soul where you really felt like, I'm done, I can't do this anymore?
Oh, yeah. I mean, if you don't, are we even in this business? So, yeah, many a time. I can't even pick one.
Yeah. I have it all the time. It happens to me pretty frequently. So I just wonder, do other people feel this way?
But again, we don't talk about it enough,
Yeah.
Allie. And
Yeah.
that's why we're here on your amazing
Yeah.
podcast.
So tell me about yours, and what does it feel like? I'm very curious about what does it feel like to you when you feel like, I'm done, I gotta quit, I can't do this anymore?
I think that moment for me lasts probably for a minute. And then I've gotten myself to the point where I can talk to myself and just calm down for a minute. It's going to be okay. And then my coach, Liz Swadek, always says, you get to the top of the mountain, but then you realize you have to go up again. And then you have to go up again. And then you have to go up again. So it's the same with this business, right? We write a script, we have to do a pitch deck, we have to do a budget, we have to raise the funds, we have to shoot, but it's the journey. I know it's so cliche, but
That's a lovely way to look at it. It is the journey. That is what makes it exciting. That is what makes it fun, the whole journey.
every project is a journey,
Yeah.
and you're going to learn so many things about yourself, how strong you are, how resilient. And what if you don't do it? That's the scary thing. What if we don't make these movies? What if we don't tell these stories? That's what scares me the most.
Yeah.
And they need to be told.
Yeah, I agree. And that is the scary thing. I think that's when I'm in those dark moments, what brings me out of it, because it breaks my heart, is the idea of what do I do if I quit? What will my life be if I'm not pursuing film? What will my life be if I'm not, if I don't have a movie to make? It breaks my heart.
I know. That's how we know we have to keep on going,
Yeah,
because
that's how-
basically we're vessels. These ideas and these stories are just being told through us with our whole cast and crew. It's such a beautiful thing when you think about it. It's such a collaboration. And that's why I am the type of director that I am open for suggestions. It's just going to make it better. People are having ideas and it's coming through them as well. It's coming through your art department. It's coming through wardrobe, hair, makeup,
Absolutely, yeah.
your DP. Oh God, it's such a beautiful process.
And in your script, I mean, if you're a writer director, even in your script, like holding your script so precious that you don't talk about it and don't let people give you feedback and don't listen to brainstorming. The funnest times when I'm writing are when I'm brainstorming with other women filmmakers. We interviewed one the other day who she and I will sit and talk about inspiration from a script, and it just goes wild and it's so much fun. I love that.
I love it so much too. When somebody says something, like a good friend of mine read Pinkie Swear. Her name is Monique Carmona, an amazing female director as well. And she says, "Oh, I see that movie poster very clearly. It's two girls locking pinkies. This was even before I called it Pinkie Swear."
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
And I was like, "That's the title." And she's like, "Oh, I saw the poster very clearly." And I was like, "Wow, that is so powerful. Do you mind if I take that idea?" She was like, "Yes, that's why I said it." So something like that. We have to share our scripts. We have to. It's so important.
I can see it in muted primary colors, a muted blue sky, almost like, I mean, I can see the poster too.
Yeah.
And I love it. I love that. Okay, let's just wrap it up here. Let me ask you the last couple of questions. The first is, what are you doing to help other women come up in film?
Oh, God, that's my ultimate favorite question. Love connecting with women. I love when I go to a meeting. Yes, of course, I know that I'm going to share what I'm working on, but I'm really excited about what other women are working on, because women are magical and they're wonderful, and their ideas that they're having, and I can see it for them at the same time. And if I'm getting a download when I'm there at that meeting with them, I'm like, "Oh, you have to talk to so and so. Have you thought about doing this? Have you thought about doing that?" Those meetings, that's why I love meetings so much. A lot of people are like, "Aren't you exhausted from all the people that you talk to?" I pace myself. I've learned to pace myself because Lord knows I will go into burnout very quickly. But I love those types of meetings because women just light up and I will egg them on to go further. It's one of my favorite things to do. So I will do exactly what I did earlier. Have you heard of Black Magic Collective? Have you talked to this person? Have you talked to that person? Listen, we're all coming up together. This is not a competition. We all have different ideas, and why not help each other get them done? It's just going to help you in the long run.
Yep.
So I don't look at anyone as competition. I look at everybody as my friends, and they're like doing the same thing that I want to do. Like, how fun is that?
Better than being in a room with a bunch of women directors. It's so much fun. Okay, Mo, this has been so wonderful. Thank you so much. You are the best for doing our interview, and I really appreciate your support so much. How can we as peers, myself and Pam and our audience, help and support you right now in what you're doing? Can we follow you? Can we give you notes? What can we do to help?
Thank you so much, number one, for doing this podcast, the both of you. I really appreciate it because there's nothing that I love is to uplift women, especially in film, because we're here and we're not going anywhere. So,
We're bigger. We're going to get stronger and we're going to grow together as a
oh,
community.
yeah,
I know it. I
sure.
can see it. That's what the next 10 years holds for us.
Absolutely. As far as my projects go, back to December, we're still looking for funding. So, any investors who are interested, we're awarded $100,000 for the state of Montana. We have a location. We have a ranch that's owned by a woman. So please find me. Allie, thank you for putting information in the show notes and how to find me and find my project. Yeah, I'm looking to speak to more and more showrunners for agency. And for Pinkie Swear, we are raising funds. I have From the Heart as a fiscal sponsor, so I'll give you the link to that as well. And yeah, if women are looking to help other women in general, the She Angels Foundation, I'm on the advisory board for that amazing foundation. It's a 501c3 that you have to be a woman to be a part of it. And we give $5,000 grants to 501c3s that have to benefit women and girls. So these are some of the communities that are very important to me and to my heart.
Share your socials real quick, just for people who are going to hear it.
Yeah, I'm Monique Impagliazzo on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn. So I'm on all the things. So find me. Allie, thank you so much for having me on your show. And thank you so much for doing this. It's really important. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Monique, for joining us on Slated. If today's conversation inspired you, resonated with you, or gave you a new tool for your journey, share the episode with a fellow filmmaker. That's how our sisterhood grows. Follow Monique's work, support her goals, share her wins, and keep the cycle of reciprocity going. Because the more we champion each other, the more doors open for all of us. And if you'd like to stay connected with Slate Us, follow us on Instagram at Slated Women Filmmakers. Real opportunities, real sisterhood. See you next time.